Hey there, YouTube. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming back at you again. I know I did a video already about a Jason Aldean song, but just came across this again with MSNBC all over again, talking about this new song backlash and all that. You really need to listen to the way these reporters and some of these people they interview how they put this diabolical spin, trying to still beef up this racist attitude towards saying that Jason Aldean, the song that he wrote, is so racist and it's got so much backlash. Just listen closely to the way this reporter and the people that she interviews just spins everything around. It's ridiculous. It really is. And it just goes to show you that the Democrats and the leftists, they'll take any little thing, and I think I said it before, they'll take a cotton ball and try to make a fucking bed pillow out of it, you know, and without even, it's not about them not knowing the facts. What they're actually trying to do, from what I've seen, is they're trying to hide the images that Jason Aldean used in his video, because the images that he was using was of the chaos caused by the left, like Antifa, Black Lives Matter, all these protesters. But they're trying to make people stray away from those images and make it seem as if it's all racially motivated, that this is Jason Aldean's way of being a racist, you know, making it seem like the ones that are doing committing all these crimes on the videos, on the images on his video, are something that people are going to use to cause more racial harm towards society. But just listen up and take a look at this.
There are new calls to boycott country music television from angry country music fans and some Republicans alike after the network pulled a controversial music video by singer Jason Aldean this week. We're going to play some of that video, but we want to warn you that it does contain images that might be upsetting to some viewers. Now, the song and video is...
Now, the burning of the American flag, yeah, that is very offensive. It really is. And I've said this many times. I've seen protests go around all around the world, as far as watching it on the news and stuff like that. This is the only country where you could burn your flag. I've never seen, and if I'm wrong, somebody please correct me, but I've never seen people in other countries protest, and while they're protesting, they're burning their own flags. Their own flags. Only in America can the leftists burn the American flag, say that it's a freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and say that that's okay. And then they wonder why the rest of the world looks at us and they mock most of our society. Not all of us, most of our society, because there's still many people around the world that want to come and wave that American flag. I mean, there's protests going on in Canada where you see them waving American flags in the middle of their protest, right next to the Canadian flag. There's protests in Australia do the same thing. There's protests in Brazil. There's protests in Venezuela. There's protests in Cuba, and you see them waving American flags. And those people are not even from here, from this country, from this great country. But let's take a look.
Is receiving fierce backlash over its lyrics and for featuring a courthouse where a black teenager was lynched. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle are weighing in.
I am shocked by what I'm seeing in this country, with people attempting to cancel this song and cancel Jason and his beliefs, and him and Brittany are outspoken about their love for law and order and for their love of this country, and I'm just grateful for them.
There's no accident that he filmed this in the site of the Murray County Courthouse where the race riot happened, and where, as well as the 1927 lynching of a young man who was 18 years old, Henry Cho, occurred.
And so everybody knows this fool right here, he got kicked out of the kicked off his position in Tennessee, and he bitched and whined and moaned, and they brought him back. And everything that comes out this, he is one race baiting hustler. I mean, big time. And why they brought him back it's anybody's guess. Let's just, sit back and ask why. But I guess we can all say why they brought his race hustling ass back. But it's funny what he says about this song.
The song is about normalizing racist violence, vigilantism, and white nationalism. Those lyrics, and the lyric that says, "See how far you make it down the road." I mean, this is a lynching anthem.
A lynching anthem. See how far you make it down the road. If anybody has heard and read the lyrics to this Jason Aldean song, like I said in my last video, what he's basically saying is, it's what anybody would say. You go into their neighborhood, you go into their community, you go and you try to commit crimes. You're not going to make it down the road. You're not just going to commit a crime and get away scot-free. It's not that they're going to come at you like vigilantes. It's just that they're not going to let you go. If they got to hold you down and call the cops, there are so many states that have a stand your ground law, meaning that you have the right to protect yourself. And in those stand your ground laws, nowhere does it say that it's only for white people against black people or black people against white people. It is for the innocent to protect themselves against the criminals. And what a lot of people don't understand is that if somebody comes into your house, breaks in, holds you at gunpoint, doesn't hurt anybody, runs out the door with whatever you have and leaves, can you go and chase that person? You probably can. Is it advisable? Probably not, especially if you don't have a weapon. But their back is turned, they didn't hurt nobody, they just robbed your stuff, they ran. This fool is making it seem like whatever crime is committed, that people are going to turn around and hunt down the criminals and just lynch them. And that is not what the song is saying. What the song is saying, that you know what, you come into our town, you carjack, you try to murder somebody, you try to rape somebody, you try to rob somebody, you try to kidnap somebody, you're not going to get away with it. You're not going to make it down the fucking road. We are going to stop you. And in my opinion, that is not vigilantism. When did it ever become immoral to stop a crime? When did anybody ever say in their right mind that, you know what, it's okay if somebody robs me, rapes me, murders me, it's okay. I'm not going to do anything to protect myself or my family or even a total stranger. Because you hear about it on the news, probably not as much as you should, because it does happen a lot. But there's a lot of civilians out there in society that actually save other strangers' lives. There was on the news the other day, a black couple that saved the girl who held up a handwritten sign that was being abducted, and they actually were able to catch the guy. And the guy was such a fucking coward, he tried to cut his own fucking throat. He lived, so now he's really going to get his ass handed in prison. But when you have people like this, and mind you, this guy is from Tennessee, and Tennessee has the highest crime rate in the nation. In the nation, I think for every 100,000, there's about 676,000 crimes committed, something like that. The national average is like over 360, 370. Tennessee has the highest crime rate. People think it's Baltimore, people think it's Washington, people think it's California. No, it's Tennessee, where this fool is a representative. And yet he wants to go and say that Jason Aldean, a country singer, who's singing a song, but no, they want to change it around. And the reason why they want to change it around is because, like I said, the images you're going to see of the video is mostly of the chaos being caused by Antifa, Black Lives Matters, all kinds of protesters from the left. Nothing from the right, but they want to pin this on people from the right. Pay attention.
Joining me now is Shannon Watts, founder of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. Shannon, thanks for being with us. I think it's important to note that Aldean was on stage during the 2017 mass shooting at a Las Vegas music festival where 58 people were killed and more than 400 were wounded. So that being said, what was your reaction when you first heard and saw the song? When you first heard the song and saw the video, and also you took some credit for the CMT's decision to stop playing the video. How did you have a hand in getting that video pulled?
Well, you know, I came across the lyrics online, and the song came out in May, and I was just shocked to read them because, as you mentioned, Jason Aldean was on stage when hundreds of people were shot and wounded, 60 were killed. And the fact that he would write a song, or at least sing a song that was written for him, saying that if someone tries to regulate guns, they deserve to be shot. If someone burns the flag, which is an expression of free speech, they deserve to be shot.
First of all, right then in itself, she's a fucking liar, because nowhere in the song does it say anybody deserves to be shot. So she's a damn fucking liar. Read all the lyrics online. Not one time does it say anything about somebody being shot. So right here, this is a woman who's supposedly moms against guns and all that, and she's a damn liar. And it's funny how she says she took part in having it pulled. Once again, the leftists, they scream and bitch and moan and cry, and they put CMT up against the wall and say, you're gonna fucking do this. Here we are, the socialist, Marxist, communists. We're gonna fucking shut you down. You're gonna do what we say. And in my opinion, the country music industry, they should be ashamed of themselves, like I said before, to let the leftists come in and do this to them. It's pathetic already. It truly is.
It was shocking to read that about something a gun violence survivor was singing. And so I just tweeted about it. My tweet went viral. Many other people joined in. And ultimately, CMT decided, not from any pressure specifically from me reaching out to them, but just...
Oh, yeah. You see how she spun that around? We reached out to them and a bunch of other people, but there was no pressure, really. So then what was said that you reached out to them? But there was no pressure for them to pull it. You're full of shit, lady. And you know you're full of shit.
Because they wanted to do the right thing. And they pulled the video, because when you pair this song with the incredibly incendiary images in the video, you know, this is not an argument about censorship.
Yeah, sorry to cut it off again. Yeah, the incendiary imagery, yeah. Why don't you call out that imagery? Why don't you call out the imagery that's in the video? All the people throwing the cocktail bombs and all that, that's Antifa. All the rioting, that's Antifa, Black Lives Matters, and all the other protesters from the left. Call that out. Call that out, but you won't call that out. Because you're the leftist extremists. You're the ones that caused that chaos. But now you want to flip it around, because since he's using the imagery of the chaos that was caused by the incendiary language and actions of people from the left, you are trying to shut down those images by saying that the song and the lyrics are racist. Nice spin. Nice fucking spin.
This is about giving racist violence a platform. And it's also about the fact that Aldean is clearly cashing in on this right-wing fantasy of violent retribution.
Wow, the right-wing fantasy of violent retribution. Wow. It's a fantasy that all right-wingers want to go out there and just cause violent retribution, just take revenge. You know, growing up, born and raised in the Bronx in New York, when we were younger, we got into a lot of trouble. I mean, you know, there's crime, no, not trying to hide it. But there was a time when if something went down in the street and you had to defend yourself and you handed somebody their ass and the cops showed up and you had witnesses, the cops knew, like almost in every neighborhood, like who was the troublemakers. When those troublemakers got their asses handed to them, they got handcuffs on them. I've seen many guys get their asses handed to them, bleeding on the ground, could barely move. The cops knew who that person was, and right there on the ground, they'd handcuff them, bleeding and all. Why? Because they were like, in their mind, they were like, finally, you got what you fucking deserved. You fucked around and found out. Here we are, decades later, and how the narrative has turned to where people want to defend themselves, but they don't want any violence. They don't want any trouble. They just want to know that, you know what, if you don't mess with me, I don't mess with you. But if you come into my neighborhood, okay, you come into my town, my neighborhood, and you start some trouble, I'm going to defend myself and my family and my friends, even total strangers, like I said. But for them to make it seem like this is something that the people on the right fantasize about, no, you know what we fantasize about? Fucking taxes going down. Okay? Fucking crime going down. I don't know. The economy getting better. You know? The Board of Education being abolished so they stop teaching transgenderism fucking ideologies to the children. You know, those are some fantasies we'd like to have. But it's not like we get up and want to go cause fucking chaos. Like Antifa that just goes out and they just find somewhere to fucking go and fucking protest about. Or like Black Lives Matter just waits for some story that fits their narrative to go out and start protesting. But they won't protest about the black on black crime. She won't talk about the fantasy of violent retribution in Chicago when all these gangbangers are killing each other. See, they have violent fantasies of violent retribution. The Crips and the Bloods and everybody that wants to get up and all these gangs that want to kill each other. That's the fantasy of violent retribution. They're looking for retribution. But you got people like this that spew this fucking bullshit. And this is what keeps those violent protests going. Because they're taking a man's song and they're saying he's racist. Saying that he's racist. It's pathetic.
And I know that you mentioned that you tweeted that. CMT still hasn't commented on why exactly it pulled the video and hasn't responded to NBC's request either. But I know when you see the video, do you think it's a mere coincidence that he's performing in front of that infamous courthouse? Is he trying to glorify in some way lynching, as many critics have said he is?
Oh my God. Did you just hear what this woman said? Did you just hear what this woman said? You know, like I said in my last video, maybe he stood in front of that courthouse because that courthouse supposedly has been used for different videos and movies and stuff like that. Maybe with him pairing an image of standing in front of that courthouse with the American flag and then putting the videos of the violence that all these other extremist leftist groups are causing, maybe in his mind he's like, we didn't like that there was a lynching here, and we sure as shit don't like 100 years later that there's still chaos in the street. Because unless people forget, whether they want to know it or not, okay, back then when the KKK was lynching people, the KKK was founded by the Democratic Party, whether they want to fucking hear it or not. And here we are 100 years later, and the Democratic Party and the leftists are letting people like Antifa and Black Lives Matter and all these extremist groups on the left burn and murder and commit crimes, and nothing has changed. And maybe that's why he's saying, not in my small town. We're tired of it. You want to live in the big city? You can't turn from your wicked ways that happened 100 years ago and make it better? Well, I tell you what, you ain't gonna try that shit in my small town. And I agree with him, because just like being born and raised in the Bronx, every block was a different group. You couldn't go to the next block showing your ass, because you was gonna get your ass handed to you. And I'm sorry, but does that mean everybody's racist in the Bronx, in New York? I don't think so. I mean, last I checked when I was there, when I left, I was still Native American Spanish when I left. Still grew up around white, black, Hispanic, Muslim, Dominican, Chinese, Irish, whatever you got, Italian, Greek, and we all got along fine. But the one thing we all had in common, fuck around and find out. But listen to the way these women right here, and it's pathetic that MSNBC is still in business.
This song celebrates armed vigilantism. The video is clearly an ode to a sundown town. It conflates protests and flag burning and gun regulation with violent crime. It includes Black Lives Matter's protest imagery. In a country where gun violence is the leading cause of death for young people, and it disproportionately impacts Black communities.
No, hold on 1 second, sweetheart. Gun violence is not the cause. It's the fucking ignorance that's going on. Okay? It's the black on black crime. It's the gang on gang crime. It's the Spanish on Spanish crime. Okay? It's the black on white crime. The white on black crime is the Spanish on Asian crime. The Asian on Spanish crime. It's just people that are criminally fucking minded. It's not the gun. It's not. But it doesn't surprise me that they will have somebody like this to talk about this who is against guns. Who is against guns. And she's a figure. She's a public figure. I wonder how she walks the streets. If she walks by herself or she walks with armed security. I wonder. It makes you wonder.
How we talk and sing and write and show videos about guns matters. And given that Jason Aldean is a gun violence survivor, shame on him for, again, cashing in on this violent fantasy of retribution.
Yeah, and you mentioned the lyrics. Some of the lyrics we want to go over here. One says, quote, "Try that in a small town," which Aldean didn't obviously write, but he recorded. And there's several descriptions of crimes being committed, as you mentioned, followed by a warning not to, quote, "try that in a small town," suggesting there will be violent consequences for those actions. Talk to me.
No, there won't be violent consequences, okay? There will be consequences if you cause violence. That's what that's what they don't get. And actually, I'm not going to say that. They do get it. They do get it. They just know how to rile up the leftist base. Because they get it. They know this is all part of their plan. They know what they're doing. They know that their extremism, how far they want it to go. They just spin everything around. And once again, I'll say it. It's disgusting. It's wicked and it's evil.
About the culture of gun extremism and the revenge rhetoric that permeates on the far right and the costs that, sort of permissive gun laws have in southern states in particular.
Well, when you combine lax gun laws like shoot first, also called stand your ground, or permitless carry or open carry, it's not surprising that we see simple...
It's called the Second Amendment, and it's called protecting yourself. Something you obviously don't know how to fucking do because you're too much of a damn liberal. And I hate to say it, it makes me wonder, all these people that act like this, if they're willing to just lay down and get walked all over, let crimes be committed against them and their family. I wonder if they're willing to do that. But we all know the answer is fuck no. But they just don't want nobody else to protect themselves.
Misunderstandings turn into these horrific shootings of young people, many people of color. We've seen that over and over again this year. Someone ringing the wrong doorbell, someone getting into the wrong car, someone playing in the wrong driveway or driving into the wrong driveway. This is because mostly men with guns shot first and asked questions later. And that is the shameful American reality that the gun lobby in this country has created. It's one that Jason Aldean is helping to promote and profiting from. It's one where paranoid community members who are heavily armed and on edge, they feel like they can shoot to kill with no warning, that they're entitled to do that. And so this is the logical outcome of lax gun laws combined with paranoid extremism.
She said mostly men with guns. That's so funny. The news media, you won't find it on the news media because they just won't fucking do it. But you go on the internet and you see how many women have protected their family, their children with a gun. It's not about people being on edge. It's about that the crime rate has skyrocketed all throughout this country. And like I said before, I'm against violence, totally. But the only way to stop a bad person with a gun is a good person with a gun. You can't attack somebody with a knife if they're pointing a gun at you. You never bring a knife to a gunfight. That's just the way it is. But if women like this and the Democrats and leftists, if they would just keep the prisoners in prison, like in New York, you can't carry a gun. But what do you hear on the news? People getting pushed off a subway platform, women getting raped, videos of women getting beat up out of the clear blue. And it's nothing new. Like I said, born and raised in the Bronx, that was crime. But you know what? The people took it upon themselves to say, you know what? No, you're not going to fucking attack me today. No, you're not going to hurt that innocent person. But now if you do that in New York, you go to prison. And for her to come out and say that, you know, that we're going through a paranoid extremism, a lax of gun laws. I'm sorry, but you don't see Antifa rioting in Florida. You don't see Black Lives Matter rioting in Florida. Okay? You don't see these groups trying to start and burning down cities. I mean, I have friends that live in Arkansas. All right? And they try to have a riot, and I believe it was Black Lives Matter and some Antifa members downtown in Little Rock, I believe. And the cops came and they shut that shit down. Within like 2 hours, they were like, nope, not here. Why? And last I checked, Arkansas was a right to carry state. Open carry. You didn't see all these paranoid people out there with their guns shooting at Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Oh, no, 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 no. Why? Because they're responsible. It's the irresponsible fucking criminals. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't say irresponsible criminals, because criminals are not responsible at fucking all. But it's the irresponsible politicians that let the criminals do what they want and then try to spin it around and make it seem like society's paranoid. You're damn motherfucking right, society's paranoid. Because the crime keeps getting worse and worse.
Okay, and this will likely not be the last conversation we have about this song and video. Shannon Watts, thank you so much for joining us.
It's pathetic. It truly is, the way they're going to keep this narrative going. Because they want people to be subservient. They want people to give up their rights to protect themselves, let the crime rate skyrocket, and then they could bring in the jackboots and say, you know what, we're going to protect you, but at the same time, you're not going to be able to do whatever you want. You're not going to move because now we got all your fucking guns. People may say, well, that sounds extreme. Yeah, you know why? Because it is. And that's what the Democrats want. That's what the leftists want. That's what these news media outlets are pushing on the people. They want you to feel like, oh, there is a problem, but it's racism. Like this lady said, is mostly men with guns. You know, that are going out there trying to be vigilantes. No, last I checked, has there been a couple of instances where some people did end up paranoid and make the wrong call? Yes, absolutely. But that's going to happen. It'll happen with anybody. Okay? But that's not what's going on. What's going on is, like I said, the gangs, the gang violence, the gangs in Chicago and Baltimore. They're killing each other. Like I said, black on black crime. You know, it's just something that people need to understand, because they're gonna pick on this man, but yet if you look at the hip hop industry, a lot of the music, it still promotes violence. It promotes a lot of fucking violence. but they won't go against that. And in the rap industry, it's not that it's only just black rappers doing it. You got white rappers doing it. Whoever's out there rapping, they're talking about getting even with each other, and and putting each other down. And next thing you know, they meet up at some venue in California, LA, and all of a sudden, you hear it all the time. Shots ringing out at this rap concert or something like that. And it's and I'm not trying to vilify the rap as far as the whole of the rap industry, because a lot of them have done a lot of good things, and a lot of them are actually against the violence and all that, but they're trying to turn this around and make it seem like here's one country singer, some white dude, that's being racist and is advocating for lynching. Like I said before, did it ever occur to somebody that this man caters to millions of fans? Not in one small country town. In different states around the country. So he sees when he goes into these places. I'm pretty sure he's played in Tennessee. So he would know also how bad the crime rate is in Tennessee. It's not easy. In New York, going to Madison Square Garden, the freaking crooks will come out when there was a venue. They're all out there trying to pickpocket people, robbing people. I mean, just causing chaos. And it could be for a basketball game. It could be for a music concert. It could be for whatever it is. They're out there. And that's in the big city. But no. Let's point the finger at this man, because he used imagery of the chaos that's being caused by the left. And they want to spin it around and make it seem like he's a racist and he's all for lynching. It's fucking disgusting. But I'm glad people are waking up, because all they did was promote him. There's a lot of black YouTubers, a lot of black people on YouTube making content that are actually on his side. The song has gotten over 1 million views already. So CMT cut him off, but you know what? Since they say he wanted to make money off of it, then I guess they're helping him do it. And I'm sure he's not trying to make money off of it. It's just that it was about time, to put the song out. And they said the song came out in May supposedly or something like that. And you're bitching about it now in July, why it took that long for you to realize how good the song was doing. And now when you seen the video coverage that he used, it was like, oh shit, we got to say something, because it's funny, she only mentioned Black Lives Matter. She didn't say nothing about Antifa, of the imagery of Antifa or any of the other groups or protesters that were out there. Anyway, just wanted people to see that. Again, this is True Outlaw Patriot. Please like, subscribe, and pass this along. And remember, stay vigilant, keep praying, and pray for each other. Peace.